Use that QR code, people. There it is.
Hey, everyone.
Where do we sit?
Maybe. There we go. Great. Thanks. Hey, everyone.
All right. Hi, guys. Yeah. We're keeping it nice and kind of loose here at Coast Film Festival. How you doing? Pat Parnell.
What's going on, man? Rob?
Yeah. Rob.
Hey, what up, Danny?
Danny. We got director.
And I'm Hayley, the
yeah,
producer.
Hayley. Yes. Okay, so not gonna lie, I'm a little sad that Mike couldn't make it. Mike and I go way back, by the way. It's such a heartwarming story. I want to know what the impetus. Where was the idea of, okay, let's tell this story and let's tell it in a way where we get to kind of peel back the layers and see maybe through the perspective of those that are less fortunate.
Yeah.
So
is that for me? Okay.
Well, I think as a group, I'm not sure where like the spark for this film came. Like, where was that that initial? Yeah.
So I'm the festival director for EarthX Film,
Okay.
and we really wanted to tell a story that was in our own backyard in Dallas, and a story of hope and environmentalism and all of that. And I was lucky enough to come into Four Down April of last year, and they were doing what they do best, and there was a big community there, and we were like, these are the guys we have to go with, and this is amazing. And so we started filming November of last year, and Danny came in really early, and maybe you can take it from there a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been skateboarding for most of my life, and it's not too often when a project aligns with your passions of environmentalism and skateboarding and filmmaking like this one did. And so when Hayley got in touch with me to explore this film and think about the story, God, I felt like I was on cloud nine. It just doesn't happen that often, and I felt like I had an immediate kinship as soon as I got to Dallas to meet everybody.
It was like the perfect storm.
I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Creatively.
it's amazing.
Yeah. I want to ask about, when you speaking of all things passion, especially with skateboarding, I think people, they put a lot out there. They sweat equity, and to start, a park like that. I love the part in the film where you have this idea of like, oh, we're going to charge this per session, and then talk about going through that process of like kind of having to readjust your focus on, okay, maybe this is going to be a little bit different, but it's still gonna succeed, with kind of saving people and having people find skateboarding.
Well, appreciate the question. We're just trying to save ourselves, to be honest. First things first, we had to save ourselves. So we're in Texas. It's not like here, right? So my partner, Mike Crum. Yep. This is the birthplace of skateboarding, Southern California, So this is where you had to go, especially in the 80s and 90s, our era. If you were going to make it, you had to come and do it in person, right?
Oh, you did have the clown ramp, and I would go back to, the Jeff Phillips skate park.
It's sitting in our parking lot right now. It's a piece
Really?
of junk.
The clown ramp?
Absolute piece of garbage.
No way.
But
I know. It's horrible. It was horrible. As a kid, I saw it, and then when I saw it in real life, I was like, okay, this thing is...
It's gnarly. It should be in the Smithsonian, but it's sitting in our parking lot. It's the world's first real vertical half pipe, by the way. It's made out of fiberglass and was actually designed for roller skaters, and skaters who skated pools figured out, oh, vert, right? It's amazing. But at any rate, Mike Crum, Kareem Campbell, me, and we found ourselves in Dallas. We needed a place, we needed a refuge, we needed a sanctuary for ourselves. So, in California they call them TFs, like training facilities, whatever. So we just had a place. But it's always in South Dallas, which is, Cali's a little bit different, but everywhere's the same. There's disparity everywhere. When you cross that imaginary line and you're in a different world. And when you step into a part of the neighborhood where it's a lot cheaper than the other one, right? Well, that's the part we can afford to put our skate parks in, right? And then over years, because we've been doing this since, say, 2007 or so, things just sort of adapted over time. And since we're skaters, and since, this is action sports culture as well, you always want to do bigger, better, further, faster, all the things. So once you start down this path of like, hey, the community needs some help, and we needed help, and we all need help. Maybe we can all help each other, right? And if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it starts at this very base level of physiological things, water, food, things like that, shelter. You go up a little bit higher, things like community. And then you go up to the higher levels, it's aspirational. At a certain point, it's the level of how do I bring value and meaning and purpose to my life? So that actually makes the humanity sustainable, because that hierarchy is more of a wheel than it is just a line, right? So we found ourselves having our own needs met, so it was only natural that we gave back. That's just sort of what people do, right?
And you see it, right? This is a little karmic kickback when you, I don't know, you see him pop tail for the first time, right? You're like, yes, right?
It is amazing, and we've seen, we've had kids start off with us that are now, just now today I saw a 2-page spread in Thrasher for the guy who, he literally has paint on his pants in the spread because he's been painting at 4 Down. Now he has the same pants on, Dickies, and he's in a 2-page spread on Thrasher. And the other kid that took the photo, he's another little Grom that used to be around that now he's taking photos and videos that are in movies and commercials and in Thrasher. So that, skating and all these other action sports are very intergenerational, right? But we tend to cross boundaries, other socioeconomic boundaries, things like that normally aren't crossed. But at the skate park, everything's fair game, right? So you know how it goes.
I want to ask, too, about when we talk about stories that that are going to resonate and kind of cross lines. Is there any sensitivities you have to kind of be aware of, in terms of like, okay, to the point where you don't want to feel like you're being exploitive?
Yeah.
Talk about maybe that delicate dance you do with sharing their story, but not feeling like you're taking advantage of it.
Well, I think, and Danny, I would love for you to speak to this too. I think it was really important. At some point, we decided we really wanted to have someone who was going through the experience with 4 Down and kind of benefiting from or not benefiting, just like experiencing 4 Down and what that was doing for their lives, what that was doing for their community, what that was doing for their sense of self. And Zion is a perfect example of someone who shows up a lot, is around the park, is highly supported. Danny was very specifically the one that was in his home and working with his family, and maybe speak a little bit to that and just the sensitivities around that.
Yeah, in terms of also like earning and gaining trust.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, we as documentary filmmakers, we're not here to exploit people's traumas. We're here to be conduits through which people's life stories can flow and hopefully create a story that resonates in an empathetic way with other people. And so we're certainly not here to take advantage of a story in any way. And so we approach these things as a collaborative process. And so when it comes to Zion, we spoke with his mom frequently before we filmed. We talked to her on the phone. We FaceTimed with her even when she was in the hospital. We had Rob, of course, as our liaison to Zion, both in the film and in real life. And that story was incredibly sensitive. And when you make a documentary film, as filmmakers, we're forced to take in so much. There's so much vicarious trauma in this profession because we have to take in more than what we distill back out for the audience to ingest. And so in that particular case, yeah, we love Zion. We loved him when we were filming. We love him still. We think about him all the time. And so that relationship was like, oh, we feel for you so much. We love to help you tell this story. I hope it's cathartic in some way, and hopefully this film is a lasting tribute to him and his relationship with his mom. Rest in peace. That it's not been an easy thing, but I think it was a worthwhile pursuit.
And just hats off to you too. There was moments where you were just capturing what really felt like you were, a fly on the ceiling, over the shoulder approach. Can I ask just how did you gain those moments where it just nothing felt forced when they were kind of just hanging out? It just felt so natural. Was that deliberate? Did it just kind of happen? Was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we put the time in to beyond filming. I mean, when we're not filming and long before we ever take cameras out, we're just there to skate. We're there to hang out. We're there to eat lunch. We're there to play video games. We're just there to for them to get to know us and for us to get to know them. And so by the time the cameras start rolling, that relationship is pretty well forged. And without that trust, it's like, why are we doing? We might as well just make mayonnaise commercials. What's the point? We're here those bonds are what we're here for. That's, we just feel a lot. And so that's why we do this. And with Zion, we gave him a video camera a couple months before we ever got to Dallas and said, here's your camera. Here's some prompts to think about. Here's some questions that you could think about answering to this camera if you want to. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Enjoy the camera, because filming, skating are it's as old as time.
Yeah, so. It definitely greases up the bearings. And by the way, if you were gonna do a mayonnaise commercial, it'd be the biggest damn mayonnaise commercial ever, because you're from Texas. Yeah.
I'm not from Texas.
Well,
but
no,
any mayonnaise brokers out there, let me know. I'll happily make a mayonnaise commercial.
Can I ask the update with 4 Down, and because obviously it's initial intent, like we're gonna build a sick, an amazing skate park, but then it becomes like it takes this philanthropic, wide turn, and now you're kind of a center of the community, which I think a lot of us as skaters growing up, it's like for some of us that weren't lucky enough to have a skate park, it was the skate shop. So maybe give us the update of what 4 Down is now, is maybe gonna be in a year and down the road.
Well, I appreciate the question. We're always moving forward. That's what the name means, right? 4 wheels down, moving forward. We're not so much worried about what happened in the past. We're just worried about solutions here and now, and how do we do that moving forward. So since then, in the movie we're talking about a closed loop agri-system, for instance. Right now I've got a full half acre composting system going on with a partnership with a for-profit. So I'm making a lot of sort of non-profit, for-profit partnerships so that things become sustainable in a triple bottom line way, meaning people, planet, profit, right? Because in this world that we live in, if you don't make enough money, that's not going to sustain either, right? We just can't be out here begging and asking for. So, we're very much focused on making things sustainable. So we happen to be in one of the country's largest food deserts. If you guys don't know what that is, I ask that you look it up. Basically what we're trying to do is meet the immediate needs of our community, but do so in a sustainable way. So we're designing a unique space. And since we're skaters, right, we're already sort of attracted towards taking action. We're attracted towards ingenuity. We're naturally inclusive. We're anti-fragile, right? We're not afraid of falling. We're going to learn from falling, right? And we have sort of a healthy skepticism for authority, right? So you take those qualities and you build a community around it, and that's really what I think the world needs right now, especially in America in particular, being so polarized. But you get people together and say, hey, wouldn't it be better if 40% of all food goes to waste, which that's a shocking number, is it not? In an industry that's responsible for 25% roughly of all the environmental harm of the world, 40% of it goes to waste. Meanwhile, you're driving 18-wheelers and flatbeds through the food desert to a landfill, through an area where people need the food. So luckily enough, it's cheaper for them just to let us have it. And so we sort it, we redistribute it, we compost it, we recycle it, we upcycle, we do whatever we have to do, right? So the facility is designed around those principles. But we also do art, obviously we do skateboarding, we produce pro skaters, now we're producing, actually we have an agribusiness incubator going on, the world's first vert ramp vertical farm. Like crazy shit that we're doing.
But this is I know, it's insane. Just try to wrap your head around, you start with a skate park and you end up with all this. It's unbelievable. Like, how does that even...
It's the same thought process that goes into climbing, right? If you think about Yvonne in Patagonia and his innovation, right? You think about what surfers do and everything, right? It's all the same. We're action people. We like ingenuity, right? And if you're here to do that, we're obviously open to everyone doing that. So we're naturally inclusive. So you just take those same attributes, but you focus on needs in your community. Now look, every community is different. It's got its own particular needs, right? So in our particular community, it's been laid to waste for generations over. We're in the South, man. It's a different world than it is here, right? So, and in particular, if you guys don't mind me saying, I would ask that you guys Google Zion Carr, C-A-R-R, Zion Carr. Because 2 weeks after this film wrapped, he was on national TV for 2 days straight on a nationally televised trial. He was the only witness to the killing of his aunt a Tatiana Jefferson, who was shot through her own window in her own room playing video games with him and killed. And it took, George Floyd came and went. Sandra Bland came and went. All these other trials came and went. It took us making so much noise. It took our community being so adamant, because in Texas we have to force a trial. And that boy was on the stand for 2 straight days, national TV. We all knew this, so we were all kind of building support around him. You can imagine the stress and strain of that, right? Meanwhile, his mom is dying of heart failure in the hospital, which was why he was with his aunt that night when she was fatally shot, right? So all these things were coming together. He held it down, and let me tell you, in Texas, it's very, very difficult to get an officer convicted. And based on his testimony, Officer Aaron Dean was convicted.
Well,
Yeah.
we can.
Pretty crazy thing. So he's there joking, he's laughing, he's having fun. That's what we have to do. We got to get our energy up, right? So that's why we do these things that when you're out there surfing or climbing, it has no purpose, it has no meaning, but yet it's bringing purpose and meaning to your life. So we need those things to get over all these other things, right, that we're inevitably going to have to deal with in life.
Well, I think it's safe to say skateboarding has saved, and it continues to save. And I love that you charted down this path, not knowing that you were going to end up where you ended up now and moving forward. And I really thank you, all of you, for jumping into the story and sharing it. It's a very heartwarming and hopeful tale. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Can I
Thank you.
add one more thing,
Absolutely,
just because it's
absolutely.
important and it's up on the screen right here? Dickies is supporting 4 Down. It is going to be on the Dickies YouTube channel on November 28th, 27th. And you'll be able to share it to all your friends and tell them about it. They're matching 1-for-1 donations. You can click on that QR code, donate to 4 Down, and go straight to them.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.